In the shadows where truth and tales intertwine, we find the thrilling, the chilling, the downright spine-tingling. From the paranormal to the peculiar, every echo has a story. Dare to delve into the unexpected, the unexplained? Brace yourself, for you're about to embark on a journey where fear meets fascination. Stay tuned if you dare, for stories that will make your heart race and your mind ponder. Welcome to the realm of the eerie, the realm of the unknown. And remember, like and subscribe, if you dare. On a crisp morning, a father and son ventured into the vibrant, lush forest for a day of hunting. The woods teemed with life, a symphony of nature's hums and chirps, rustles and roars. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of damp earth and the faint, sweet whiff of blooming flowers. The father, a seasoned hunter, and his son, on the brink of manhood, moved stealthily through the undergrowth, their eyes scanning the verdant surroundings for a sign of their quarry. The father's strong voice broke through the forest sounds, coaching his son, passing down years of wisdom and experience. The son listened intently, his eyes bright with excitement and anticipation, his heart pounding with the thrill of the adventure. Their laughter echoed through the trees, a testament to their bond, the shared joy of this father-son ritual. The son, eager to prove his mettle, held his weapon with a mix of nervousness and determination. The father, watching his son's growing confidence, felt a surge of pride. This was a rite of passage, a moment that would forge a deeper bond between them. As the day wore on, they continued their journey deeper into the woodlands, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves. The son played hide and seek among the towering trees, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to come alive with every rustle of the wind. The forest, once a haven of tranquility, began to stir with the whispers of the unseen. Suddenly, the son spots a figure moving in the distance. His heart leaps. He turns to his father, his eyes wide with excitement. The father nods, a silent encouragement. The son takes a deep breath, steadies his shaking hands, and lifts his weapon. His father's words echo in his mind, guiding him. He takes aim, the figure in his crosshairs. The forest holds its breath. In the hush of the moment, the son squeezes the trigger. The shot rings out, echoing through the forest. "I think I got it," the son exclaims, his voice filled with triumph and exhilaration. His father claps him on the back, a proud smile on his face. The normal day in the woods suddenly is not so normal anymore. The father and son, hopeful of a successful hunt, approach the spot where the son took his shot only to find traces of blood. Their hearts sink as their eyes scan the greenery, finding no trophy to claim. The son's first kill, his rite of passage into manhood, is but a smear of crimson on the forest floor. Disappointment hangs heavy in the air. But the father, ever the teacher, sees an opportunity. He begins to track the wounded creature, his son following in his footsteps. They delve deeper into the woods, the underbrush growing denser with each step. The father's eyes are sharp, his senses tuned to the subtle signs of the forest. Yet, in their pursuit, they lose sight of their own trail. The path they had carved in the vibrant, animal-filled forest disappears, swallowed by the green abyss. Their laughter and bonding are replaced by a growing sense of unease. They are lost. With the sun setting, the father makes a decision. They will have to camp for the night to find their way back at the first light of dawn. The son, though worried, hides his fear behind a brave face, eager to prove his courage to his father. They gather logs, build a fire, and settle down on the cold woodland floor. The forest, once filled with the cacophony of nature's orchestra, now echoes with their breaths and the crackling of the fire. As they sit huddled around the campfire, they hear the occasional hoot of an owl, the scuttle of a squirrel, the rustle of leaves. But then, as if nature herself is holding her breath, the forest falls silent. An eerie stillness envelops them, the only sound their own heartbeats pounding in their ears. The once vibrant forest, now a shadowy labyrinth, waits in anticipation. As they settle around the campfire, the once vibrant forest falls eerily silent. In the deafening silence, a rustling sound grows louder, prompting the father to pull out a flashlight and his rifle. The forest, once vibrant and full of life, had become a stage for an eerie play of shadows and sounds. The father, a seasoned hunter, could sense a change in the air, a growing unease that made the hairs stand up on the back of his neck. His son, trying to be brave, stood close behind him, his small hand clutching the back of his father's coat. The rustling grew louder, more insistent, and the father's heart pounded like a drum echoing through the silence. He scanned the dark undergrowth with his flashlight, and then he saw them. Two red eyes glowing like embers in the night, staring back at him. A shiver ran down his spine as the light from his torch flickered off the creature's eyes, casting an eerie glow in the darkness. The father tried to steady his trembling hands as he raised his rifle, his every instinct screaming at him to protect his child. But then, from the depths of the undergrowth, a figure emerged, a massive, hulking silhouette, shrouded in darkness. It stood upright like a man, but its head was that of a wolf, its teeth sharp and glistening in the moonlight. The father's blood ran cold as he realized they were not dealing with an ordinary animal. With a fearful command, the father tells his son to run, his voice barely above a whisper, but filled with urgency. "Run as fast as you can, and don't look back!" The young boy, his eyes wide with fear, turned on his heels and bolted into the darkness. As he ran, his father's desperate screams echoed through the forest, chilling and haunting, but then, as suddenly as they had started, they stopped. The forest fell into an unnerving silence once more, the only sound being the rustling of the leaves in the wind and the boy's breath, ragged and panicked. The son didn't dare to stop, didn't dare to look back. His father's last words ringing in his ears, pushing him forward, even as his heart pounded with dread. He ran until his legs felt like lead and his lungs burned. The last thing he heard before everything went silent was his father's screams fading into the night. Exhausted and scared, the son hides up a tree for the night, witnessing the werewolf's search and eventual departure. His heart pounds against his chest like a drum, a terrifying rhythm echoing in the silent, pitch-black forest. The night is a symphony of horrors, every rustle, every snapped twig intensifying the terror of its solitude. His young mind spins tales more terrifying than the last, each one punctuated by the sound of his own breath, a harsh reminder of the grim reality he faces. With the first light of dawn, hope rekindles in his heart. The night's terrors recede with the darkness, leaving him with a new challenge: survival. He must find his way out of the labyrinthine forest, a task easier said than done. The forest seems to shift and change with every step he takes, each path leading him deeper into its heart. But he's not the same boy who entered the woods with his father. He's a survivor, a fighter, and he won't give up. Summoning every ounce of courage, he pushes through the undergrowth, his senses hyper-aware of every sound, every movement. He navigates fallen logs and treacherous slopes, driven by a single-minded determination to live. His fear of the unknown is now a fear of the known, the monstrous creature that lurks in the shadows, a constant reminder of his father's fate. His perseverance pays off as he stumbles upon a well-worn trail, a lifeline snaking its way through the dense forest. Joy surges through him, a spark of triumph in the face of adversity. He's made it, he's survived the night against all odds. Just as relief washes over him, he comes across a family hiking on the trail, a beacon of normalcy in an otherwise nightmarish ordeal. He's safe now, or so he believes. Little does he know the horror has only just begun. Guided by the family, the son starts his journey back to civilization, unaware of the horror that is about to unfold. As they march on, the son's steps grow heavier, his breaths becoming more labored. The mother, trailing behind, spots something odd. A tear in the boy's shirt reveals a set of 4 deep scratches etched across his back. The sight is unsettling, but she dismisses it as a consequence of his desperate escape through the dense woodland. The path winds on, the forest whispering around them. 45 minutes pass in what feels like an eternity. The sun, suddenly, grinds to a halt. Concerned, the family steps forward, asking if he's okay. Yet, their words hang in the air, unanswered. The son slowly turns and their hearts freeze. His eyes, once full of fear and innocence, now glow with a chilling blood-red hue. His teeth, now unnaturally pronounced, gleam in the dappled sunlight. A guttural growl rumbles deep within his chest. His gaze never wavering from the family. The air grows thick with terror as the sun lunges at them, an animalistic snarl tearing from his throat. In the ensuing chaos, the family stumbles back, their screams swallowed by the dense forest. The son, or whatever he has become, is a blur of movement, a terrifying force of nature. The family's desperate pleas for mercy echo through the trees, a haunting melody to the son's transformation. Then, as abruptly as it started, it ends. The forest falls silent, the family and the son nowhere to be seen. The unsettling silence stretches on, filling the air with a palpable sense of dread. The once vibrant forest now stands as a grim monument to the horror that unfolded within its depths. Imagine, if you will, the shrouded mystery of the woods under the cloak of night. In the heart of the wilderness, where the moonlight barely trickles through the dense canopy, an unsettling silence hangs heavy. A symphony of nocturnal life is ominously missing. There is no chirping of crickets, no rustling of leaves under the scurrying paws of small creatures. Even the wind seems to hold its breath, as if the forest itself is waiting, watching. In the midst of this void of sound stands our protagonist, a ranger, a seasoned professional, well acquainted with the quiet of the night, and yet this silence feels different. It's a silence that makes your skin prickle, a silence that feels like a predator stalking its prey. He's seen things in these woods that would make a lesser person's blood run cold. But tonight it's the nothingness that frightens him. His boots crunch on the frost-kissed grass as he moves, the sound amplified by the quiet around him. He pauses, listening, straining his ears for a sign, a hint of what's to come. His heart pounds in his chest, each beat echoing in the silence. The air is thick with tension, the kind that precedes a storm, the kind that makes the hair on your neck stand on end. He is alone, or so it seems. But there's a feeling, an instinct, born from years of navigating the woods that tells him otherwise. He can't shake off the sensation of being watched, followed. His eyes dart around, trying to penetrate the darkness that surrounds him. His hand instinctively reaches for the radio at his side, but he hesitates. The silence has a grip on him now. Every fiber of his being is on high alert. He knows these woods, knows them like the back of his hand. They are his domain, his sanctuary. But tonight they feel alien, hostile even. He's a stranger in his own home, a prey in a predator's lair. In the heart of the darkness, the ranger's instincts kick in. Something is not right. In the chilling stillness, a discordant symphony of strange noises begins to unfold. It's as if the woods themselves have come alive in the darkness, each rustling leaf whispering secrets to the night. The ranger pauses, his heart pounding in sync with the distant hoot of an owl, a lone sentinel in the enveloping blackness. The soft crunch of leaves underfoot seems to echo around him, transformed by the unseen landscape into a monstrous growl. A sudden snap of a twig to his right sends a jolt of fear through him. He freezes, his breath hitching in his throat. There's a chill in the air that has nothing to do with the season. It's the icy touch of dread, the first whisper of danger yet unseen. The noises grow louder, more insistent. A low guttural growl rolls through the darkness, wrapping around him like a shroud. The ranger swallows hard, his mind racing. It's a sound he's heard before, but never in the pitch-black wilderness, never when he's alone. He tries to dismiss it, to convince himself it's simply the product of an overactive imagination. But the noises persist, each one a chilling reminder of his vulnerability. The rustling leaves become a stalking predator, the snapping twigs the footsteps of an unseen enemy. The growls grow louder, closer. They're not the distant echoes he first thought, but the menacing snarls of a creature lurking in the shadows. The ranger's breath comes in shallow gasps, his pulse pounding in his ears in a frantic rhythm that drowns out the whispers of the forest. His instincts scream at him to flee, to escape the unseen terror that stalks him in the darkness. But he's a ranger, a guardian of these woods. He forces himself to stand his ground, to confront the fear that gnaws at his courage. But as the growls grow closer, his resolve crumbles. The fear is no longer a whisper, but a deafening roar that drowns out all reason. His heart pounding, the ranger could no longer deny the undeniable. He was not alone. Suddenly, the ranger feels an unseen presence closing in. The hunt has begun. There's a palpable shift in the atmosphere, a change that sends a chill down his spine. The silence of the woods is shattered by the sound of something large, something heavy, moving fast through the underbrush. His heart pounds in his chest like a war drum, the rhythm of fear. He knows he's not alone anymore. He starts running, feet pounding against the forest floor, the sounds of pursuit echoing in his ears. The noise is a terrifying symphony. The snapping of twigs, the rustling of leaves, the heavy thud of whatever is chasing him. Each sound is a chilling reminder that he's the prey, that something is closing in on him with relentless determination. The ranger throws a look over his shoulder, but the darkness of the night is a veil, hiding his pursuer from sight. Yet he can feel it. its presence a looming shadow that sends shivers down his spine. He can hear it, the heavy breathing, the low growls, the thunderous footfalls. Whatever it is, it's big, it's fast, and it's right on his heels. His lungs burn with the effort. His heart feels as if it's about to burst out of his chest. But he can't stop. He can't slow down. Every instinct screams at him to keep running, to put as much distance as he can between himself and whatever is chasing him. Fear turns into terror, the kind of terror that freezes the blood in your veins, that makes your heart pound so hard it feels like it might burst. He's trapped in a nightmare, running for his life in the darkness, chased by an unseen predator. But then, up ahead, he sees it, a cave, a chance for safety, a place to hide. With the last of his strength, he makes a desperate dash for it. The cave is his only chance, his only hope. He rushes inside, the darkness swallowing him whole. In a desperate bid for survival, he takes refuge in a nearby cave. As he catches his breath in the darkness of the cave, the ranger realizes the horrifying truth. A shiver of dread courses through his veins as the pieces of this terrifying puzzle fall into place. In the hushed stillness of the cave, he becomes acutely aware of the distinct absence of the creature that had been relentlessly pursuing him. It's then that the realization hits him like a cold wave. He's not simply hidden from the predator, he's wandered straight into the belly of the beast, the predator's lair. His heart hammers against his chest with a primal fear as he absorbs the implications. The chase, the fear, the adrenaline. It had all been part of a sinister game. Every snarl, every rustle in the underbrush, every snap of a twig under a heavy paw. They were not just the sounds of pursuit, but the calculated maneuvers of a predator herding its prey. The beast had been directing him here, to this cave, all along. He barely has time to process this chilling revelation when a low growl rumbles through the darkness. The growl morphs into a deep, guttural howl that reverberates off the cave walls, echoing in the hollow spaces and chilling his blood. The predator reveals itself, the werewolf, a monstrous creature of nightmares. Its eyes glow an eerie yellow in the dim light, its fur bristles with a primal ferocity, and its snarling mouth reveals rows of gleaming, razor-sharp teeth. The sight is paralyzing, a stark reminder of the harsh reality of nature, the brutal, unyielding law of the predator and the prey. As the werewolf steps into the light, the ranger's heart skips a beat. The monstrous creature is not alone. His blood turns to ice as he hears the chilling sounds of young werewolves behind him. The lair isn't just home to a single beast, it's a den, a family of predators. And he, the ranger, is their prey. The ranger's blood turns to ice as he hears the chilling sounds of young werewolves behind him. The ranger turns around, his eyes meeting the gleaming eyes of the young werewolves. The cold, calculating gaze of the predator's offspring sends a shiver down his spine, a chilling crescendo to the symphony of fear that's been his reality for these past few moments. The shadows of the cave dance upon their fur, giving them an almost spectral appearance. The ranger's breaths grow shallow, quick, matching the erratic beat of his heart. He can feel the weight of his impending doom hanging heavy in the cool, damp cave air. His hand inches towards his belt, fingers brushing against the cold comfort of his trusty knife. But he knows deep down that it's futile. The odds are stacked against him, a lone man against a pack of nature's most ruthless predators. The hopelessness of the situation seeps into his bones, chilling him more than the autumn wind ever could. The silence of the cave is shattered as the youngest of the pack lunges forward, a low growl echoing off the cave walls. The tension peaks, a palpable force that seems to vibrate in the air around them. The ranger's heart pounds in his chest, a wild drum echoing the primal fear coursing through his veins. He braces himself for the impending attack, every muscle in his body coiled tight, ready to fight, to survive. But the onslaught comes too swiftly, too brutally. The young werewolves are upon him, their growls and snarls filling the cave with a terrifying cacophony. The ranger fights, his screams of defiance swallowed by the chorus of the wild. Each snarl, each growl, each snap of jaws is a stark reminder of the ranger's plight. But the fight is short-lived, the outcome predestined. The ranger's strength wanes, his struggle against the inevitable weakening, and then silence. The only sound left is the harsh panting of the young werewolves, their eyes still gleaming in the dark, victorious. The woods echo with the ranger's faint screams, a chilling reminder of the untamed horror lurking in the darkness. Imagine a family lighthearted and joyous, stepping into the dense, lush forest for a day of adventure. The air is thick with the scent of pine. The sun paints dappled patterns on the forest floor, and the symphony of nature plays in the background. Parents share tender moments, their laughter blending with the chirping of birds overhead. The children, consumed by a world of make-believe, embark on a game of hide-and-seek, their giggles echoing off the tree trunks. The forest, once a backdrop for their innocent play, suddenly morphs into a maze of shadows and secrets. The youngest, a sprightly boy with a mischievous glint in his eye, vanishes, swallowed by the green abyss. His siblings search in vain, their calls for him only returned by the rustling of leaves. His laughter, once echoing through the trees, was abruptly silenced. The family's joy turned to panic as they realized the boy was nowhere to be found. The once vibrant and lush forest now echoed with their desperate cries, the laughter and bonding of moments ago, a distant memory. The game of hide and seek had taken a horrifying turn. The youngest child, a boy, had vanished without a trace. The family scoured the area, hope dwindling with each passing moment. The father's eyes darted from one area of the forest to another, his heart pounding in his chest. The mother, clutching the hand of their daughter, made a decision. She would seek help, while the father continued the search. As the mother and daughter hurried towards the nearest ranger station, the father stumbled upon a chilling discovery. His son's shoe splattered with blood. His heart sank, dread seeping into his veins. He called out, his voice choked with fear and frustration. The forest swallowed his cries, offering nothing in return. Then, from the silence, a muffled scream. The father's heart lurched. It was faint, barely discernible, but it was there. A child's cry fading away into the distance. Fear gave way to determination. He had to find his son. He sprinted towards the sound, branches whipping at his face, leaves crunching underfoot. The mother, meanwhile, had reached the ranger station. Her words tumbled out in a rush. "My little boy is missing. We can't find him. Please help." The rangers trained for such situations immediately sprung into action, calling for search and rescue teams. Back in the forest, the father was losing ground. The cries were becoming fainter, more distant. But he pressed on, driven by a desperate hope. The forest seemed to close in around him, an eerie silence settling in. As the cries faded, the father plunged deeper into the unknowable wilderness. The search for his son was far from over, and the true horror of their predicament was only just beginning. There was a glimmer of hope when the mother reached the ranger station. Desperation etched on her face. She pleaded for help. The rangers, trained for such situations, sprang into action. Through the dense forest, they mobilized, forming a search and rescue operation of a magnitude rarely seen. 200 volunteers from nearby communities rallied to their call, their concern for the lost child uniting them in a common cause. Even the local army base contributed, their soldiers joining the search with a sense of disciplined urgency. The search dogs, their noses unmatched in their ability to track, were brought in, sniffing the air fervently. They picked up the boy's scent, their tails wagging with the promise of a successful search. But then, something strange happened. The dogs grew wary, their tails no longer wagging but tucked between their legs. They refused to continue, whimpering and looking back towards the safety of the ranger station. Was it the scent of an unknown predator that scared them? Or was it something else entirely? No one could tell, but one thing was certain. The boy's scent was there. Then, it wasn't. Like a candle extinguished by a sudden gust of wind, the trail ended abruptly. The search teams were left in silent bewilderment, their eyes scanning the dense forest, their hearts heavy with the daunting reality of the situation. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, the sense of urgency grew. The forest grew darker, the shadows longer, and the sounds of the forest more haunting. Despite their best efforts, the boy remained lost. His scent disappeared and the search dogs refusing to continue. The scent trail ended abruptly, leaving the teams in silent bewilderment. The fading daylight marked the end of the day's search, but not the end of their resolve. They knew they would have to continue at first light, hoping against hope that the boy would be found safe and sound. As night fell, a new terror gripped the forest. The father, lost and desperate, stumbled upon a small platoon of army men. With the moonlight casting long, eerie shadows, they stood determined. Armed with high-tech equipment, and a resolve as unyielding as the towering trees around them. One of them, his face obscured by night vision goggles, offered a glimmer of hope in the oppressive darkness. The father, voice trembling with fear and exhaustion, shared his haunted tale. He spoke of the faint cries that echoed through the forest, cries that seemed to carry his son's voice. The army men, hardened by countless battles, felt a shiver of unease. Something was amiss, they knew, but they were soldiers, and they would not back down. Together, they ventured deeper into the heart of the forest. The cries grew louder, more distinct, guiding them like a siren song. They followed the sound, their footsteps muffled by the damp undergrowth, their breaths held in silent anticipation. As they reached the source, their hearts sank. No boy awaited them, only a small, blood-stained t-shirt, its fabric torn and tattered, a horrifying testament to the boy's plight. The father clutched the shirt, his hand shaking, tears glistening in his eyes. He looked up at the army men, their faces grim in the dim light. They shared a moment of silent understanding. The boy was still out there, somewhere, and he was not alone. The forest, once filled with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, fell eerily silent. A chill ran down their spines as they realized the boy might not be alone in the forest. The darkness around them seemed to close in, swallowing them whole, as they steeled themselves for the horrors that awaited them in the shadowy depths of the wilderness. Suddenly the forest erupted with the deafening howls of a beast. The cries were so piercing they seemed to cut through the calm of the night, leaving an echo of dread in their wake. It was no ordinary creature. This was something far more sinister. It was a beast that only the darkest corners of our fears could conceive. A werewolf-like creature, towering 10 feet tall, with an odor so foul, it felt like acid in your nostrils. The father and the small platoon of army men froze, their hearts pounding in their chests like war drums. The beast was hidden, its presence known only through the terror it inspired. Then, one by one, the men fell prey to the monstrous creature, each life snuffed out as swiftly and brutally as the last. Their bodies left as chilling reminders of the beast's savage power. The father, driven by desperate hope, pressed on. He moved through the darkness with a singular purpose, the cries of his son pulling him forward like a lifeline. But the beast was relentless. It hunted with a ruthless efficiency, leaving the father as the last man standing. His fear was drowned out by his desperation. He had to reach his son. He had to save him. But the beast, seeing this as a threat, lashed out. The father felt a crushing blow, a pain so intense it was almost surreal. His body crumpled to the ground, the echoes of his bones breaking, reverberating through the silent forest. His last sight was his son, sitting unharmed among the monsters, feeding on the fresh meat. The image was as horrifying as it was heartbreaking. His innocent child, sitting among the creatures of nightmares, partaking in their gruesome feast. The father's last breath was a silent plea for his son's safety, his last thought a prayer for the boy's soul. When dawn broke, there was no trace of the boy, his father, or the army men. The forest, once filled with the frantic energy of a search and rescue mission, had returned to its deceptive calm. The search teams combed the area with a fine-toothed comb, their efforts echoed by the mournful howls of their canine companions. But their search was in vain, yielding no answers, only more questions. The forest, with its lush green canopy and vibrant animal life, seemed to mock their efforts, hiding its secrets beneath a cloak of tranquility. The boy's shoe, the father's desperate cries, the blood-stained t-shirt, all had disappeared as if swallowed by the forest itself. The search and rescue teams, despite their best efforts and the assistance of over 200 volunteers, were left empty-handed. The boy's fate remains a mystery, leaving us with a chilling question. What happened to the boy? And so, our tale of the Campfire Horrors comes to an end. Until next time, sleep tight. Before we part ways, dear viewers, remember to stay vigilant. The Campfire Horrors may have been extinguished for now, but the embers of the unknown always remain. As you lay down to sleep tonight, don't forget the lessons from our tale. Safety is but a fleeting moment in a world of unseen. So, if you've enjoyed this journey into the abyss, don't forget to ring that bell and smash that like button. Do it before the thing under your bed decides to pay you a visit. Oh, and keep those night lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Thank you for embarking on this terrifying adventure with us. until our paths cross again in another tale of the unknown. Goodbye and sweet dreams, if you can.